KQNY Radio News is supported by a generous grant from the Feather River Community Fund. More information about their programs and activities is online at featherrivercommunityfund.org. The news is also brought to you by Heat Transfer Systems. They can be reached at 530-283-3665 for all HVAC needs including conventional, geothermal, ductless systems, and more. We're also supported by Hunt Propane, providing bulk propane deliveries to residences and businesses at 530-283-9062, and Feather Financial, here to help with insurance, tax preparation, and accounting services. They're at 530-283-2341 and online at featherfinancial.com. Sierra Pacific Industries is committed to sustainable forest management and also supports KQNY Radio News. Information about career opportunities with SPI is available at 530-283-2820 and online at spi-ind.com/employment.
In partnership with the Plymouth Sun, this is KQNY Radio News.
Thanks for joining us. The failure of the federal legislation known as Secure Rural Schools threatens the county's schools and roads, and the County Council is planning to investigate the county assessment process. Stay tuned for those stories and more on this edition of KQNY Radio News. Plymouth County officials are scrambling to help rescue a federal program that has bolstered local schools and roads for over a century. At stake is around $3.4 million in federal funds designated for Plymouth County schools and roads through the Secure Rural Schools and Community Self-Determination Act. Funding for 2025 is uncertain after last-minute congressional budget negotiations in December failed to reauthorize the act, which in 2024 pumped $33.7 million into California's rural counties. Plymouth County would be hard hit without these funds, said Supervisor Kevin Goss, chair of the Board of Supervisors. Quote, "It would put enormous strain on a county already financially stressed," Goss said. "Without these funds, we would have to look to drastic measures," unquote. The Secure Rural Schools funds are equally divided between the county and the school district. Last year's share of $1.7 million to the county was allocated to roads, Goss said. For Plymouth Unified School District and the County Office of Education, operating without its $1.7 million share would be, quote, "a very big deal," said David Keller, District 2 School Board Representative. Quote, "That is not a small amount of money for a district like ours," Keller said. Andrea White, interim superintendent of the Education Office, has joined school superintendents across the state to lobby for secure rural schools. The county supervisors have sent letters and worked to urge reauthorization with regional representatives that include Representative Doug LaMalfa of California's 1st District. Congress established legislation in 1908 to support rural counties nationwide where the tax base is limited by federal land ownership. The U.S. Forest Service managed 72 million acres at that time. Today, the agency manages about 196 million acres. National forest lands in Plymouth County total 1.1 million acres, about 70% of the county's land base. Most is managed by Plymouth National Forest, with Lassen National Forest managing nearly 150,000 acres and the Tahoe around 11,500 acres of land. Historically, the funds allocated to Plymouth County were generated by timber sales. As logging on the national forest waned toward the end of the last century, Congress acknowledged the effects on rural counties. After decades of declining agency revenues, in 2000, federal legislators passed the Secure Rural Schools Act to help stabilize the funds available to rural counties. Title I is designated for the benefit of public schools and public roads. Congress has reauthorized the act almost continuously since the year 2000. In December 2024, however, the legislation died on the House floor. House Speaker Mike Johnson did not put it forward for a vote after House Republicans could not agree on how the bill should be funded. Since then, rural counties have been reeling as they face the potential loss of this funding. LaMalfa responded February 14th by introducing legislation to reauthorize the 2000 Act. His Secure Rural Schools Reauthorization Act is co-sponsored by a bipartisan coalition representing rural areas in Colorado, Pennsylvania, Oregon, Washington, and Montana. The funds help keep classrooms running and support vital services like public safety and infrastructure. Quote, "Without this funding, rural areas would struggle to provide even the most basic services," LaMalfa said in a press release. The Secure Rural Schools Reauthorization Act would approve payments through fiscal year 2026. Without reauthorization, these critical payments will expire, leaving many counties struggling to fund schools, road maintenance, and emergency services. Keller responded to LaMalfa's legislation with tempered relief. Quote, "We are counting on it working out. We're confident that representatives of our general area will go to bat for us," Keller said. The bipartisan bill has not yet been scheduled for a hearing. After months of controversy over dramatic spikes in many property assessments, the Plumas County Board of Supervisors took steps February 11th toward bringing clarity to the way the assessor's office assesses the county's 27,000 private properties. The supervisors directed interim county counsel Josh Brechtel to review state laws governing raising and lowering property values. They also asked him to consult with other counties on deferring tax payments. Brechtel's review could lead to policy changes, including a legal pathway to tax deferments. The supervisors asked Brechtel to communicate with the county department heads before returning to them with recommendations. Supervisor Tom McGowan's motion giving the direction to Brechtel, approved unanimously, put no deadline on the county council's response. Supervisor Mimi Hall framed the board's 40-minute public discussion by starting with the laws governing property assessments. Quote, "We have to ensure that we're compliant with at least the minimum threshold of the letter of the law," she said. An overview analysis of the assessment process could also improve overall county functions, Hall said. "It's an opportunity to consider infrastructure more generally, quote, the way we operate within our systems," she said. It was a comprehensive approach to a controversy that's been treated as an isolated issue. The assessor's office has been in the eye of a public storm since November, when property owners complained of huge hikes in their assessments. Citizens have vented their frustration at every Board of Supervisors meeting since then, challenging the supervisors to change the way the assessor announces increased property assessments and to allow landowners to defer tax payments when they are hit with unexpectedly high assessments. At their January 21st meeting, the supervisors took the first action. They rescinded a 2012 resolution that made it possible to adjust property values without notifying individual owners by mail. Now the assessor's office is required to notify property owners by mail if the assessed value of their property increases significantly over the previous year. The option of deferring tax payments, which was discussed in January, was left on the table without action. At their February 11th meeting, the supervisors included deferments in the legal review process they assigned to Brechtel. Brechtel has provided the supervisors with a synopsis at their recent public discussions and a legal analysis, he said. He has not made the document public, citing attorney-client privilege. At each of the previous meetings, Plumas County Assessor Cynthia Froggatt has explained the process her department uses to assess property values and reviewed the state laws governing it. She acknowledged that some assessments went up dramatically this year, calling it unfortunate. Froggatt said properties should be reassessed every year. Quote, "The problem is that they were not being reassessed and brought up to market value every year," she said, as an explanation for the large increases for 2024 assessments. Of the county's 27,000 parcels, 4,500 of them fall under Proposition 8, which allows lower assessments to match market values. Froggatt estimated that 40% of these properties experienced a jump in assessed value. The shock to owners and the challenge of paying unexpectedly higher taxes is what the supervisors are trying to address, said McGowan. Quote, "It goes right back to us coming up with a solution to help those individuals. I am, quite frankly, a little surprised that we haven't gotten further down this pathway," unquote. Hall envisioned a process that could address issues related to assessments that may contribute to a better understanding of other county operations. Quote, "That's why I want to have this conversation, so that we have an understanding of what we need," Hall said. Having a policy in place by the budget hearings in May would help the board work in concert with the assessor's office and the treasurer tax collector's office as well, she said. Cambium is the name of Feather River College's Humanities and Arts Journal, and it's seeking submissions for the spring 2025 edition. The editor-in-chief, Nikki Gross, English professor, encourages local high school students, FRC students, and community members to submit their original writing, poetry, fiction, or nonfiction, or art, photography, sketch drawings, painting, ceramics, etc. This year will be the 4th edition of Cambium, and submissions are open annually between November 1st and February 28th. The word cambium refers to the tissue layer in plants that provides cells for the secondary growth of stems and roots. Secondary growth is vital. It occurs after the first season and results in increased thickness, which can offer important protection. In this way, cambium offers us a metaphor for our growth, the way we learn and grow and strengthen ourselves through visual and written stories and art. Let Cambium then symbolize the work, dedication, and growth of our students and community members in and around Feather River College. More information about the Cambium publication is available on its website, and that's frc.edu/English/Cambium. And that's it for this edition of KQNY Radio News. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again soon.
This program is a production of KQNY Community Affairs Programming, and it's powered by the Plumas Sun. a group of Plumas County journalists and organizers committed to providing high-quality, objective coverage of local news. The Plumas Sun and KQNY both depend on community support, so please consider helping us out by going to KQNY919.org and PlumasSun.org and making a donation. Thank you for helping to keep local news on the web and on the air.